Good afternoon and welcome back to Defining Virtuosity. My name is Odin Rathnam and I am Professor of Violin at Cleveland State University. This next study of Wohlfahrt is number 27, marked Allegro, and is a study in string crossing efficiency and accuracy, understanding the various planes that we find the arm most efficient at, and can be practiced several different ways. Many students that get to a collegiate level and conservatory level find themselves having to go back to basics because the material taught in these simple volumes wasn't taught strictly enough or well enough. And find themselves working on Kreutzer number 7 and things like that to get them feeling arm weight efficiently on all the strings with a relaxed shoulder and producing clean strokes with string crossings effortlessly. But this can actually be accomplished with a much younger student and thereby prevent a lot of retooling later on. That said, this is also of tremendous value to professional players and more advanced players that want to check these principles. The idea is that there should be an order of actions in the right arm before we hear sounds. We want to make sure that the arm is on the correct plane, that's to say G, D, A, or E, or a double stop between any of the two strings before a horizontal motion takes place. So if we consider the opening of the elbow as a horizontal motion, we want to make sure that the arm is on whatever plane it needs to be, that G, D, A, or E, and that these two motions don't interfere with one another, and that we don't try to do any horizontal motions before we have cleanly caught the new string. The principle can be taught by placing your bow on the string in, let's say, the middle plane, the G and D plane, and just feel where your arm likes to be for that plane. Once you've established that, watch the sounding point and gently use your shoulder to drop the elbow to the A and E plane, back to the D and A, or to the G and D. And then do a few exercises just feeling your arm cross between two adjacent strings, or skipping a string, or skipping two strings. These motions that are led in the elbow and completed in the wrist and fingers for shock absorbers here in the springs should precede any stroke. If the stroke is a martelé, then the index finger has to catch the string so that the string is plucked, whether we're at the tip or any point in between, that we have that sense of the index finger contact with the string, the arm weight, and a free hinge, the hinge being this in the hand, this ability to move horizontally and vertically. The study, very much like Kreutzer number 7, makes a lot of use of octaves. Sometimes the octaves are on two adjacent strings, and sometimes they're on strings that are two strings apart. So it's very important to think of those planes when we're playing. It's marked in the original to be played at the point of the bow, beginning up bow. So if we examine that, that would just be all right. I'm going to stand up for a moment in the interest of you seeing my hand at the point of the bow. And you'll notice I cross before making any stroke. You want to make sure that the arm is ahead of that. This can also be practiced at the very frog of the bow with the reverse bowing. I also have students play this with hooked bowings so that every two measures reverse the bow direction. So starting down bow, go to the fourth note, all on the down bow, but the fourth note is articulated separately. So we have a three note slur, a string crossing, and a re-articulation. All right, so those notes this way. Now the opposite. Sorry. So now we can do it starting down. Reverse it. And by practicing this as martelés first, we will become very aware, I could hear it even in mine as I was executing, of noises we don't want to hear. Extraneous sounds of stoppings of the bow or over articulations. The goal is to make it as clean as possible. Because what we're learning about the bow, without even discussing it, is that when you finish a bow stroke on one string, to grab a note on the other string, a different part of the bow is touching the string. If I end a bow on the E string here and cross, the point of contact for the G string is over an inch away. If any of the bow hair travels in either direction during the crossing, you'll get noise. Noise of the D or A string, or even if it's less than a full stroke to make a wrong note appear, you'll hear a little bit of scratch or something in between the pitches, and this is a great way to clean that out of our playing. It also affects how well we cross strings when we play this off the string. In the printed version of the bowing, this is a very, very mechanical study. I don't think a whole lot about music, just about the clarity. And I want to practice using different amounts of bow in a very disciplined way, so that if I wanted to, I can go to the middle on the three-note slur and go back and forth from the tip to the middle on every single martelé, so that we're using half bows. If we're doing the bow hooked, we can also be strict on how much we use. Pardon me, that's an E. But you want to be arbitrary and really control how much. If you want to use a third for the separates, a half, a quarter, whatever it is, so that you get very good at that. We can also miniaturize the hook bowing to not take up the whole bow, but work within smaller ranges. All of these things are so that we can feel the string crossings comfortable at any point in the bow. If you only practice the string crossings at this part, you might get very good at it, but you might not be able to feel it the same way when you're here or when you're here. That, for me, is less than ideal. So it should be practiced at different parts of the bow. When it's mastered with these string crossings, the more musical way of playing this is beginning down and with brush strokes and at a true allegro at this point. Now, where we're coming up to, this is bar 38, 39 into 40. With this bowing, we're forced to make a bowing change. I add another up bow, the fifth note value of bar 39, so that the G string falls on a down bow. So bar 39 appears like this. Up, down, reverse it. Again. No, that's wrong, sorry. Up, and catch the G string from where the C ended, so we don't get any other noise. Up there again. Up there again, so that this comes out down. Downbeat of 49. So just by making those few bow changes, the additional ones would be the fifth note value of bar 52, and that's all of them. So if you do it to the eighth note value at bar 39, the fifth eighth note value at bar 44, the fourth that works out, never mind. The fifth eighth note value of bar 48, and the fifth eighth note value of bar 52. All of the bowing should come out well for that version, and that's the more expressive version. In addition, we don't always find these type of string crossing challenges in martelés. We find them in more lyrical playing. In the second caprice, there's an equal balance of colleés, martelés, and legato string crossings across 2, 3, and even 4 note crossings. So it's also very valuable to play this more lyrically. Or and if you try to connect it like that, and there's any bad string crossings, you'll hear the notes in between the two strings, the three strings. Like if you're crossing from D to A, you'll hear the D in between. So it really lets you know whether or not you're crossing your planes efficiently. I hope this is helpful for you. There's my thoughts on how to practice number 27. The only other thing that I would bring up that I do work with my students on is making sure that the fingers fall at such an angle that the wrist never locks in the left hand, so that there can be some life on every note, a little bit of activity. isn't dead, that there's a little bit of activity in the hand so that the notes sound vibrant. There you have it. Wohlfahrt number 27, Allegro. I hope this is of value for you. If you enjoyed it, please like and share. You can post your comments below and questions below, and I'll be happy to answer them. And I hope you'll encourage others to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.